All right, good morning, traders. Today is August 1st, Rabbit. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor of the BYOB Trading Room. BYOB Trading is the day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Everybody out there, thank you for the subscribing. Thank you for following. Thank you for liking. Thank you for posting and sharing. Thank you, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah, Roasted. Everybody, thank you so much. Just want to remind everybody, Monday, August 4th, this Monday, open house all day, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Hope to see you there. I will leave a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code right here with your smartphone. It'll take you to a link, and you can get registered. We will email you credentials to get into the room on Monday morning. All right? Hope to see you there. All right? Let me just say, since the beginning of the year, every open house has been a profitable open house. I don't know how much, but it's always been profitable, okay? Just saying, you might not want to miss this one. All right, so, hey, good morning, Julie. All right, so open house, Monday, August 4th, 8 a.m., 4 p.m., all right? Hope to see everybody there. The link is in the description, all right? So we got that taken care of. Thank you. And let's start off up here. Thank you, my SPY. All right, my morning pivot, my morning SPY pivot, 634. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily uptrends. Yesterday, SPY, FNGU, QQQ made, I think they all made bearish engulfing candles, but they also made new all-time highs, okay? IWM made a lower low, and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the flat 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Diamond down made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Silver still in an uptrend, made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Gold's now in a downtrend, all right, but it's still consolidating up top there, up over 300. Okay, gold's in a daily downtrend, technically. All right, they made an inside day, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17. USO still in a daily uptrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. UNG still in a daily downtrend, made an outside day. That's a higher high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the falling 17. US dollar index in an uptrend now, closed near the 100.03 area. SPY Max Pain, all right, that's for the options that expired today. SPY Max Pain 633, put to call ratio of about 1.8 puts for each call that expires today. Possible put squeeze, options expiration Friday. Employment situation comes out in about 22 minutes, okay? That's a market mover, all right? That number for the employment situation. I'm expecting it to be good, all right? We'll see what happens. I'm just saying I expect it to be good. All right, so there's the synopsis of what happened yesterday. Let's go take a look at some charts. So yesterday, you can see we've got this bearish engulfing. It was already a bearish candle, but you can see we gapped up and made a new all-time high there on SPY. All right, we got, it was an outside day, but we made a new all-time high. It was a bearish engulfing, but we made a new all-time high. Higher high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap, but over the rising 17 EMA. You can see this on the quad lines here. All right, you can see price action still up there at the top of quadrant 4. That is still bullish. We're still up over the 17. All right, made a new all-time high, so you know we're in an uptrend. It's hard to make a new all-time high if you're not in an uptrend. It can be done, but usually not on an index. All right, so here's SPY, new all-time high again. All right, yesterday And in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs, and of course the all-time high rate up there. So there's SPY. So we're bullish on the daily chart. Weekly chart, we're still bullish. All right, see the green dots still in an uptrend. Notice the 3 EMA up on top of the white 8 EMA there. Okay, same thing happening here on the daily chart. The yellow 3, the faster moving average on top of the 8 EMA right there. Okay, so let's take a look at the monthly. Monthly, you've got, see the yellow line, 3 EMA, yellow line's a 3. Up over the 8 EMA right here. See the green dots rising 17. Okay, so there is on the monthly we got an uptrend. So we got an uptrend in the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Okay, but on the 2 hour, all right, we don't. We made a lower low. All right, so went up and then back. So then we're in a downtrend here on the 2 hour chart. Okay, notice we closed with the 3 underneath the 8 yesterday. So 2 hour downtrend. My favorite trade, all right, I'm going to say it many times, okay? 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Inside 2 hour uptrend. Inside the daily uptrend, all right? That is inside a weekly uptrend. That is inside a monthly uptrend, and that is over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP, okay? That's my favorite trade. Got all the time frames working, pushing wind in my sails, pushing price higher, all right? Hopefully for me, all right? So that's what I like, okay? We don't have that right now, all right? But we did all through here, okay? All through there we had that. Now, today we don't have that. Yesterday we did not have that. On the 2 hour, you can see I already said 2 hour downtrend. Let's look at the 10-minute. Okay, so here we are yesterday. We gapped up high. We got underneath VWAP, and you got yourself a little 10-minute downtrend that lasted about 3 candles down to here, pull back to VWAP, all right, and another 10-minute downtrend that lasted down to yesterday's low, and then a pullback to, the valley between the 2 peaks right there. That's always going to be a target. If you're ever looking for targets, you see a valley between 2 peaks, it'll probably be the target, okay? Or a peak between 2 valleys, yeah, it'll probably be the target, okay? More than likely, okay? So we got the valley between 2 peaks, and here's price, comes down here, hits yesterday's low, all right? Bounces back up right where to, yeah, you got it, right there on the valley between the 2 peaks, and then rolls over again, coming back down to test the low of day, okay, with another 10-minute downtrend underneath VWAP. Okay, so those were all tradable yesterday. 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Maybe not this one, okay, but this one with the lower high, all right, you know that the bears are going to try and dig out a lower low right there, okay, and then again with the lower high, I'm looking for the bears to dig out a lower low. Of course, they did. See where we are right now, 627.20. Okay, so there's SPY. 10-minute chart in a 10-minute downtrend. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a continuation this morning of that 10-minute downtrend. All right, so I want a red candle. All right, I don't want a red candle with a big wick on the top. Okay, big wick on the top. No, I don't want with a big tail on the bottom, okay? I don't want something with a big tail on the bottom, okay? I take that back. I don't want anything with a big tail on the bottom. Anything with more tail than body and wick shows me bullish control, all right? So I don't want that. I don't want spinning top, and I don't want dojis, all right? Neither one of those, because that tells me bulls and bears agree on the price where it is. All right, or we're just resting, okay? I want a red candle, all right? I don't want any green candles because that shows me bullish control. So I don't want any dojis. I don't want any spinning tops. And I don't want any like bottoming tail candles, something that shows me bullish control or the move is done. Or it's got way more tail than it does body and wick, okay? Where the bulls have more control of that candle than the bears did, all right? So I'm looking for a bearish candle, all right? I like to see two of them, all right? Two helps. Two is more than one, all right? So that's a better confirmation than just one candle. I like to see two. The more candles you get with that going on, all right, the more confirmation you got. Okay, but don't wait too long. You don't want to miss the move, right? Okay, so you got to find that happy medium inside your trading plan. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute downtrend. All right, we know what we're picking for today. And before I close the video, we'll go back and we'll put the pre-market on and see what price is doing after the employment situation comes out. Okay, so 10-minute downtrend, 2-hour downtrend. Let's look at the technicals. Actually, let's go ahead and just do all the indexes right now. All right, we'll start off with, let's do the game plan. All right, game plan, what do I like? All right, you already know I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, inside a 2-hour downtrend, that's inside the daily, that's inside I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, that's inside the 2-hour uptrend, that's inside the daily. Okay, you already know I like that. Okay, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, breaking away from VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, breaking away from VWAP. All right. Also like 7 days and 14 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. Okay. Preferably the multiple of 5. You get more open interest on those multiples of 5 that are $3 to $15 out of the money. Okay. 3 to 15. Okay. If you want to go in the money, it's going to be a little bit more expensive and you'll get a better performance, all right? If you go out of the money, the delta is going to be smaller, all right? And you're not going to get as much move as you would on in the money or at the money, okay? But I like them because they offer less risk. In other words, you're putting up less capital. So I like them $3 to $15 out of the money, especially when we're starting new accounts. And by the way, I'm going to start a new 27K account. Okay, on Monday at the open house. These are the results so far of the current 27K account. We are at 1.6 million. Okay, from the last 27K account. Right there. All right, so you can see, hope you come join me on Monday. Let's do it again. I'll show you how I did it. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. There's the game plan. Pivot, 634. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY. Green erases red entry right over that hump. Okay, right over 635.60. Okay, over 635.60. That is a bullish green erases red entry. Okay, underneath on the bottom side, of course, we're already down there. All right, 631.45 is a bearish red erases green entry down here. Okay, again, we got employment situation coming out that could rip the markets or tank them. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So there's SPY. All right, again, bearish red erases green entry, 631.45. Now, if I get a 10-minute downtrend that manifests up here, all right, and it breaks the rubber band candle for the VWAP, all right, I will be interested in trading the 10-minute downtrend. And even though it manifested and originated way up here above the pivot, okay, and above the red erases green, I will still be interested in trading that to the downside. Same thing goes for the 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, okay? If it happens to manifest and originate down here, okay, long before green erases red up here, okay, I will be interested in trading that, all right? I would like to see it. I'd like to see it break the rubber band candle, all right, for VWAP, all right? So we'll see where VWAP opens up, all right? So that's where I'm looking. I'm just saying that if I get a 10-minute uptrend down here, I would be interested in trading that. If I got a 10-minute downtrend that manifested up here, I'd be interested in trading that. I would like it to break the 10-minute, okay? I would like the 10-minute uptrend, right, to break the 10-minute, okay, bullish rubber band candle, all right? On the downtrend, I would like okay, the 10-minute chart. In other words, I'd like to see price break, okay, the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle, okay? Remember, you're going to get a candle on each side, okay? The bullish one's going to be on the top side. The bearish one's going to be on the bottom, all right? If I want a downtrend, I want to see them break the 10-minute bearish rubber band candle, okay? So there's SPY. There's the game plan for that, okay? If you want to know what the rubber band candle is, you take the biggest candle that's attached to VWAP, and it's going to be the free-floating candle that surpasses it. So see this green candle here? And let's say that big red candle was attached to VWAP, which is the brown line. All right, so this would be the free-floating candle that's not attached to VWAP, but surpasses the big candle that is attached to VWAP, okay? Now, price gets below that green candle, they've broken the rubber band candle, okay? Anything above that, and price probably has a chance of being recalled back to VWAP, okay? Like a 90% chance of being recalled back to VWAP, okay? Not saying that they have to do it. I'm just saying there's that opportunity there. Hey, good morning, Sharon. All right, so there's SPY. There's the explanation of the rubber band candle. Same thing on the top side, okay? You can take the biggest candle, all right, that spikes through to the upside, all right, and then the free-floating candle that happens to surpass that candle, okay? And then if you break that free-floating candle high up there, okay, that is a break of the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, okay? So now you got a little clarity on what the rubber band candle is in case you're looking for it way down here, okay, when it happens to manifest, as we may pull back the trend. We'll see what happens, all right? So there's the 10-minute. There's the game plan. Again, I will revisit this before we end the video and see what the pre-market is doing. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ's got a game plan as well. Okay, QQQ pivot for today, 567.85. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Okay, bearish. Red erases green entry underneath, 564.90. Okay, and bullish, green erases red entry up over 571.30. Okay, again, I like the same thing. The 7 days and the 14 days till expiration, Friday options on the multiple of 5. Okay, with strikes that are $3 to $15 out of the money. All right, so you can shop whatever fits your budget in there. Okay, you can even trade in the money. I have no problem with that. You're just going to pay up more for those, all right, but you'll get a better performance. Okay, you want a really good performing option. It's going to be the in the money, all right. It's going to be the in the money 0 DTE option most of the time. Okay, that'll be the good performing option. Okay, but you'll have to pay up for that. You want performance. You do pay for performance. It's like the difference between buying a Volkswagen and a Ferrari. All right, you want the performance, you got to pay. All right, so that's the same thing with the options. All right, so there's QQQ game plan. All right, again, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Again, if they manifest down here, the uptrend, long before the green erases red entry up there, doesn't mean I cannot trade that 10-minute uptrend. I would just need to see some type of parameters that safeguard me from falling into the gutter, okay? Something like break the rubber band candle, pass over the QQQ pivot. Like one of those two things, okay, that would help safeguard me from falling over the edge or getting wiped out. Okay, I want something that's working in my benefit, all right? So make it prove it to you, all right? So there's QQQ. Same thing up here. If I get a green erases red, I don't get a green erase. Say I get a bearish 10-minute trend, all right, that originates up here long before the bears have this red erases green entry down here. I would be interested in trading that to the downside, okay? I didn't trade too many puts yesterday. Why? Because we were in a 2-hour uptrend. for most of the day, okay? And we gapped up to a new all-time high. So wasn't really interested in trading puts. It's actually more interested in shopping for calls, all right? I didn't trade too many puts yesterday, all right? I did make quite a bit of money. A lot of it was from price gapping from down here, and I loaded up on some cheap calls with the Meta Microsoft earnings, all right? And I was able to capitalize by selling them first thing in the morning, all right? Made most of my profits first thing in the morning by buying cheap calls down here and selling them first thing in the morning up here, okay? That did not work today for Amazon and Apple, okay? The same strategy, not working. Obviously, you can see right here, okay? So there's price action for QQQ, all right? Let's take a look at the daily chart. All right, we'll come over here to the scratch. Again, new all-time high. So that's still bullish. See all the green dots? We're still in an uptrend. Okay, that's a new all-time high. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. All right, again, new all-time high. See that? New all-time high. See the launch pad breakout right there? Launch pad. Okay, new all-time high up there, FNGU. On the daily chart, still bullish, all right? See all the green dots, still in an uptrend, okay? Everything's still working right there. That's FNGU. IWM, all right? IWM, a little different than the other three there, okay? Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the flat 17, okay? IWM, no longer bullish. It's neutral. It's not in the upper third anymore. Okay, so it's just neutral right there. Okay, they could recapture it today, but I don't see that happening, being since we're gapping way down here, which is almost twice the size of that candle right there. Okay, so there's IWM. Are we on minor support? Yeah, we're on minor support. Well, we could get a bounce today on minor support. See that hump? See the valley between two peaks? Okay, so there's the target. We could see a bounce today on IWM. Keep an eye on that. All right, look for that 5-minute uptrend that happens to manifest into a 10-minute uptrend. All right, so there's IWM. Okay, still just neutral now. Okay, no longer bullish, just neutral. All right, and still in an uptrend. If they take out that low, all right, which looks like they might, they will negate the uptrend and convert it to a downtrend. Okay, so that's IWM, aka Russell 2000. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow still bullish up here. Okay, now if they take out that, see this tail down here, if they take out that, see how that was bullish control? See, this is why I don't buy tails in a downtrend. Okay, see all the tail? Look where price went from this tail. It went up here and made a new rally high. Okay, so that's why it doesn't make sense on the opening, in the opening range, not to buy a tail candle, all right, if you're going to be bearish, or if your bias is bearish, or if it looks like the 10-minute downtrend is bearish. See why it doesn't make sense? This is the tail candle. Notice more tail than body and wick. And where did price end up? Yeah, way up here, new rally high, okay? That's why, all right? No tail candles, okay? Not in the downtrend, all right? So we don't want that. That shows bullish control. All right, so there's Diamond Dow, all right? Lower high, lower low, closing underneath. Yeah, bearish trap underneath the flat 17. Still up there in quadrant 4, so that is still bullish, all right? They're still in an uptrend, but if they break below this, if price breaks below this tail candle there, they will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend right there. Okay, below that. Now, they can be in a downtrend and still be bullish in the upper third. All right, so if you're still in the upper third, you can still be bullish and be in a downtrend. Gold is doing it, and right now it looks like Diamond Dow and IWM's not, but Diamond Dow is. All right, so there we go. All right, on Diamond Dow. Still in an uptrend right now, okay, but we'll see where they open up today. If they break the low, they'll they'll be in a downtrend. Okay, they could recover it, but they'll still be in a downtrend until they take out that high. All right, so there's diamond down on the daily chart, still bullish as of right now. Market hasn't opened. Okay, still bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, and this is bullish up here. Okay, anytime you see consolidation, okay, over prior consolidation, that is a bullish environment. That is a bullish behavior. Okay, take note of that. All right, look for the 10-minute uptrends within that bullish behavior. Okay, they could be profitable for you. There's diamond down. All right, let's take that off. And let's go look at some technicals. T2122. Well, I was expecting price to break the downtrend line yesterday. Okay, we did not. All right, we fell out of bed. All right, so you can see price came from the buyer's chop zone. All right, airborne. We just like flew over the seller's chop zone and went right into the sell zone, made a couple of appearances inside the seller's chop zone, all right, but then again, failed to make any higher highs, okay? Notice no higher highs through this, all right? So all in all, looks like we're headed for the oversold zone or after we spend some time in the sell zone. Okay, so that's T2122. I was thinking they would break trend right here with a higher low. Here's a low with a higher low, break trend and hold this trend. They did not. They may recover today. I doubt it. We'll see what happens. T2122 holding trend to the downside, looking like they're ready to meander into the oversold zone. Okay, that's the 15-minute chart. Okay, see the lower highs, and of course a move looking like a wedge down into the sell zone. Okay, so bearish day yesterday, obviously. You move from a high to a new lower low. T2123, yep, kind of like the same thing going on here. Okay, selling from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. Okay, notice they're filling or trying to fill, all right, some bullish gaps. Okay, you can see the crosshairs. All right, so I'll come over here. See the bullish gap right to the right of the cross there. Haven't quite filled it. I bet they fill it this morning. There's a bullish gap getting filled by the bears right there. All right. Price action. Okay. On the 15-minute chart is in a downtrend. Why? Because they got a low here and they made a lower low. So that's a downtrend. Okay. See the low that's under the 17 EMA. All right. So they made a lower low. So that's a downtrend. Can they recover? Absolutely. All right. And they're underneath the rising 200 SMA. They may recover. They may put in the rubber band candle for the 200 SMA today and then recover next week. We'll see. T2123, that's the 15-minute chart, okay? It was really looking good when we had, consolidation over prior consolidation right here. See the consolidation, and then we had consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Again, look for the 10-minute uptrends inside the indexes, all right? So those 10-minute uptrends are going to be the ones that are probably capable of providing you with nice profits when you're in those bullish environments. Right now, it doesn't look so good. Up here, it was looking fantastic. We'll see where they find support. It could find support right here. You can see probably right about there, 638, 142. Maybe they find support there. That is the support line. So we'll see how low they want to go. T2123, that's the 15-minute chart. Now, same product but the 3-bar. Got a low, got a higher low. So that's an uptrend, okay? In order for this to get in a downtrend, all right, it has to come all the way down here and take out that low, or provide a higher low and then come back up and then come back down and come take it out. Okay, right now up over the hooking 200 SMA, that's bullish. Still in an uptrend, that's bullish. We are currently dealing with these two highs right here. Okay, this high underneath the pointer, that high underneath the pointer. See that? See how this peak, that's the rally high, is now dealing with those two peaks there. Thank you for sharing all of that, Alan. Thank you. All right, so you got a low here. We've already dealt with that. We've got a low here. We've already dealt with that. All we've got to deal with is these highs right up here. Okay, so there's T21.23. All right, so we'll see what happens today. All right, that is in an uptrend and still bullish at this time. Okay, because we're up over that 200 SMA. FNGU. All right, FNGU did. Well, out of the gate, it was like buying, all right? It looks like it because it was green, but really it wasn't. They gapped up, and they sold off all day. See how they gapped up? We got green candle balls here, but they sold off all day. All they did was move from this high down to these lows, okay? That high down to these lows. Even though these are green, okay, and then these turn red, we gapped up and we just moved south all day long. We did manage to close on top of the 200 SMA. We'll see where we open up this morning, but it doesn't look good according to the post-market and the pre-market this morning. So there's FNGU on the 15-minute chart. That's still bullish up there, okay? Notice price action. Okay, let's just review a little bit of it. You got, again, consolidation. Consolidation over prior consolidation, okay, and then consolidation over prior consolidation. That's still bullish up there, still up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line, still got that bullish behavior to it, okay, just having a pullback day. Remember, we made a new all-time high yesterday, all right, we just sold off right from the beginning. So there's FNGU on the 15-minute chart. All right, take a look at a few sectors. First sector we'll look at is XLE. XLE is acting bullish. It's got higher lows and higher highs, so it's in an uptrend. Okay, just having trouble with the all-time high anchored VWAP. Notice every time it goes up, it gives it up. Okay, so it's just neutral. It's not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Okay, if it's up here, okay, in the upper third, up there, that would be bullish. Down here, okay, in the lower third, that would be bearish. Okay, so it's just neutral. See how it keeps waffling back and forth in here? Okay, one thing you got to look at is you do have a little bit of consolidation over prior consolidation. Let's just box that off. There's some consolidation. Actually, let me change the box. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so there's some consolidation. Then we got some more consolidation over prior consolidation right through here. Okay, right up there. So that's a bullish behavior right there, okay? But not bullish enough to be bullish or in the upper third, okay? Still dealing with this all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so just neutral through here. Okay, you're over downtrend line 1, but under downtrend line 2. Okay, so just neutral. Still in an uptrend. All right, in order to negate the uptrend, they got to make a lower low. They have not been making lower lows. Okay, constantly making higher lows. So that's XLE. Let's take that off. All right, let's take a look at USO. All right, here's USO in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. Up here in the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, like to see USO hold the higher ground. Okay, just like they did here for a whole month. Okay, like to see that. That would be interesting, finally, to see them do that. Hold quadrant 4 for a whole month. Okay, that takes an incredible amount of strength to do that. That's like planking for a whole month. Okay, it's not easy. All right, so there's USO, bullish and in an uptrend up there. Okay, right now it's bullish. It's up there in quadrant 4. Okay, not quite holding the higher ground, but they are holding the higher ground from the perspective of this area right here, coming out of the bearish zone. Okay, holding it in the neutral area. Okay, now they need to do it in the bullish zone and we'll see if they can do it. Notice every time before they got up and they gave it up. See all the times they got up there in the upper third, okay, and then gave it up. Okay, let's see if they can get it done this time. All right, so there's USO. Let's take a look at UNG. That's in an uptrend and bullish. UNG, downtrend and bearish, okay? You got the head up here. This is your head. And, okay, that's the head right there. Got a right shoulder, double top right shoulder right there, double top left shoulder. Okay, we got ourselves a neckline that runs right through there. Okay, you can see we challenged the neckline but failed to get on top. Okay, price action, again, in a downtrend showing you that bearish head and shoulders. Right here, okay, that right there is the all-time low, all right? And it's looking to me like the right arm wants to extend down to where the left arm left off and challenge that all-time low, okay? Maybe we double bottom here finally and then rip out of here. We'll find out, okay? Right now, we've got the bearish head and shoulders, okay? You're in a downtrend. You're down in quadrant 1. Okay, remember that's bearish. Anything in the lower third down here, that's bearish. Up here, this is neutral. Okay, right up here, that's neutral. This is bearish. Okay, you're in quadrant 1, so that's bearish. Okay, making an outside day, it's a higher high and a lower low, but closing inside a bearish trap, but underneath the falling 17. See the red dots? Falling 17. Outside day, see the higher high in the lower low, closing under a bearish trap right there. Okay? Is the market rallying? Looks like the market's taking a rip. All right. Probably going to go hit that valley between the two peaks. All right, so there's UNG, all right, price action. Okay, for UNG. In a downtrend, bearish head and shoulders. You got lower highs. Here's 4 lows. You got some lower lows. Okay, so that's bullish. Excuse me, that's bearish and in a downtrend. All right, GLD. GLD's in a downtrend. But notice it's still holding that $300 level up there. Okay, this is still bullish. Okay, price action. All right, come on, it's moving up. It's holding that higher ground. Okay, the only reason they got in a downtrend, all right, it's just a label. You see this low below the 17? Okay, well, we took out that low, okay? When you linger up here for 3-4 months straight, okay, and hold, you're liable to probably go from an uptrend to a downtrend and back to an uptrend and then back to a downtrend, okay? When you linger like this up here for 3 to 4 months, okay? So technically they're in a downtrend, but look at the bottom line. They're still holding the higher ground up here, okay? At the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, okay? They're in a downtrend, okay? But let's just say they're not giving it up. Now you may see as time goes on, they may pull back to this trend line, and again, be in a downtrend and pull back. All right, if they stay in the upper third, they will still be bullish. There's always that opportunity for price to pull back, all right, and then bounce back up and make a higher high. All right, we'll see. As long as they stay in the upper third, right up here, they're going to be bullish, even though they're in a downtrend, all right, and even though they're pulling back to trend line right here, okay? We may see that, all right? We'll see what happens. So there's gold in a downtrend, but still bullish, very bullish, holding this $300 level, okay? Let's take a look at SLV. All right, SLV on the daily chart, you can see we're up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, see the lows? Got some higher lows. See the highs? We got some higher highs up here. Okay, that's a 13-year high. We're up here on top of quadrant 4. That's bullish again in the upper third. Okay, that's bullish up here. Anything up here, that's bullish. All right, upper third is bullish. Okay, they're not in a downtrend yet. They're not in a downtrend yet. Okay, if they take out that tail right there, that tail right there, they'll be in a downtrend. Right now, they're still in an uptrend. Okay, right now, they're still bullish up here, but based on the last move, I'm just going to say you can see what happened. They went up, and then they gave it up. All right? All right, so I would want to see some type of bounce off of minor support. And they may check major support, that tail down there, and then reverse and go up. We'll see what happens, okay? So there's silver still bullish up here in the upper quadrant 4, okay, and still in an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at a few of our sectors. SMH. All right, SMH up here, quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend right there. XLK, that's technology, made a new all-time high yesterday. Okay, doesn't get any better than that. Well, it does. All right, if it was a green candle and it closed up there, that would be nicer. But it is a new all-time high, so that's bullish and in an uptrend. Got XLF up here in quadrant 4, bullish and in an uptrend. Up there, quadrant 4, it's bullish. Okay, in an uptrend, making higher lows, and you can see the higher highs. Okay, IYT. All right, IYT's in a downtrend and neutral now. All right, they failed to hold that higher ground up there. Okay, notice they're not in the upper third. Okay, so they closed down here. Okay, if they were up here, they were bullish. Okay, but they're neutral now. All right, this is the neutral zone right through here. Okay, so they're neutral. All right, and in a downtrend. Okay, they got themselves in a downtrend by taking out that low right there that pokes below the 17. Okay, they're coming back to test the top of their all-time high anchored VWAP. Hopefully they can J-hook off of there and climb back into quadrant 4. We'll see. All right, it was bullish. Notice the consolidation on top of prior consolidation. Okay, so you can see we had consolidation up here on top of prior consolidation. That was bullish. Okay, no longer bullish because they're giving it up right there. Okay, so there's transports on IYT. All right, let's look at the economic package and let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar's now in an uptrend. All right, because they made, see the high? They made a higher high. They made a higher low and a higher high, so that's an uptrend. Okay, now there is major, this was major support right through here. Okay, see that valley that comes right down to here? That was major support. All right, now that they got underneath it, this becomes minor resistance, and then this area up here becomes the major resistance. Okay, that would be the peak up top there. Okay, this area up there, that becomes the major resistance. So up here, okay, that becomes major resistance. This right here becomes minor resistance right through there. Okay, because it was major support and they got underneath it. All right, so that's where we are. I'm expecting price to bear flag underneath minor resistance. We'll see what happens. All right, they just put in a higher low and a higher high. Okay, they closed here yesterday about 100.03, so about 103 cents. Okay, 100.03. All right, for yesterday on the dollar, in an uptrend now. Okay, but consolidating from the bigger perspective in a bear flag underneath minor resistance. So we'll see what happens, what they want to do. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see that major support that was broken. All right, so you can see you got two peaks up here, right here and here. I'll put them in. All right, so you got a peak there, okay, and a peak there. Okay, so all of this consolidation, okay, all of this. All right, this would be major support. We did not want to break major support, okay? So that's what we broke through right here, okay? All of that was the major support. Came back and tested it right there, all right, and we couldn't hold above it. So now this becomes minor resistance, all right, and then this becomes the major resistance up top there. So we'll see what happens. Right now, in an uptrend, we'll see what happens if they come back and attack it and they're able to hold over it, or if they just bear flag underneath it. We'll find out, all right, in the near future. All right, falling out of bed here today, looking like they just erased everything from yesterday and almost the day before. All right, SPY max pain. All right, 633. All right, and the put to call ratio, that's for the puts and calls that expire today at 4:15. Remember, your index options expire at 4:15. Your security options expire at 4 o'clock. Okay, 1.8 puts to each call. A little bit of put squeeze on the table. We'll see. All right. In order to have an effective put squeeze, you cannot give the puts a way out. In other words, an opportunity to double down and get out at break even. All right. You have to make them cover. All right. Which in turn causes more panic and more buying. All right. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ed, for sharing all of that. Thank you. All right, on the economic calendar, again, what did I say? Employment situation, it's a market mover. Oh, man. All right. All right, employment situation, PMI manufacturing final, 945. ISM, manufacturing index, 10 o'clock. Employment situation was at 8:30. Consumer sentiment at 10. All right. And then earnings report. All right. We had Microsoft and Meta on Wednesday. We had Apple and Amazon last night. So Microsoft, Meta on Wednesday. Apple and Amazon last night. Today on Friday, we should have, well, Berkshire was there. Okay, they're going to report over the weekend, obviously. So we got ExxonMobil this morning, 481 billion. Chevron, 64 billion. Linde Corporation, 216 billion. Enbridge, 98 billion. All right, and Colgate-Palmolive, 67 billion. All right, so the big ones are Chevron, Linde Corporation, and ExxonMobil. All right, let's take a look at the pre-market. Let's talk about trading it. All right, currently we have no trend. Price has been waffling back and forth across VWAP. So no trend has developed yet. Okay, we left off with a 10-minute downtrend. We're gapping down. All right, there's an opportunity to fill gap if they choose to. It doesn't look like they wanted to hold the higher ground up here. Okay, so I'd be looking for a red 10-minute candle. Again, nothing with more tail than body and wick. I don't want any green candles, all right? Unless it's a breakout to the upside, and then I would want to buy it with calls, and I would like to see more tail than body and wick because that shows bullish control. All right, so SPY on the 10-minute. So more than likely, going to mark off the first 15 minutes of trading, all right? Going to move to the 5-minute chart, all right, and mark off the first 15 minutes. And whoever breaks out on which side is probably the direction that I will trade. Okay, that's what it's looking like so far. Okay, nobody wants to hold the lows. Nobody wants to hold the highs. We're still waffling back and forth on VWAP here. See that? We're under, we're over, we're under, we're over. Okay, so let them decide. All right. Otherwise, you're just going to get your account chopped up. Let me just say, on Fridays, it's typical for them not to make a decision until sometimes 11:30, 12 o'clock. And then you finally get a trend. All right? Playing tops and bottoms is a recipe for disaster. Okay, so let them show you the trend first, and then just jump in on the trend that's going on. All right, as long as you're not like buying an uptrend right into resistance, or you're not buying a downtrend right into support. Okay, be aware of that. Okay, so again, all right, picking tops and bottoms doesn't work out so well. Find the trend, wait, have the patience to wait for the trend to manifest, and then trade that trend. All right, and let's look at the employment situation. Okay, job growth slows to trying to move this, but I can't see it. 73,000 in July, and it's less than expected. All right, let's see if I can get the employment situation up. Okay, there it goes. Non-farm payrolls, 73,000. Unemployment rate, 4.2. That's not bad. Private payrolls, 83,000. Well within consensus. Manufacturing payrolls, minus 13. All right, well below consensus. Participation rate, 62.2. A little bit light, but on the low end of the range is 62.3. We came in at 62.2. Average hourly earnings, month over month, are up. They're on the high end of the range, 0.3%. As expected was 0.2% to 0.3. Average hourly earnings year over year, all right. Expected range was 3.4 to 3.8, and we're at 3.9, so that's an increase. So that's good for the earnings. 0.3 at the high end of the range, 3.9 over the high end of the range. Average work week, 32.2 to 34.2 to 34.2. Well, we came in at 34.3, so just over the high end of the range right there. So all in all, not okay. So job growth, 73,000 is what we added. It's not terrible. Okay, remember we're still deporting people, so I don't see it as bad. I don't like the idea that we lost 13,000 in manufacturing. That's not what I wanted to see, but heck, if you're trimming the fat, I think that's good. All right, for your company. All right, if it's not producing profits, shut it down. All right, same thing with your positions. If they're not producing profits, shut them down. All right, so that's it for me right now for today. I will come back in 30 minutes, and we will open up the markets.